Hey y'all, I'm Jardy, and in this video we'll be going over pally tanking in Phase 3 of Season of Discovery. Alright, so let's dive down into it and let's talk about the specs we're running for this phase. So the best spec overall, and nothing comes close to it, is going to be our Holy Red spec, our 11030 spec, just because no other spec comes close to the DPS is going to put out for us through our Improved Blessing of Might, Conviction, Vengeance, Divine Strength, Improved Seal of Righteousness because this buffs Seal of Martyrdom as well, and Consecration. Consecration also is strong because we have our new head rune Wrath, which allows Consecrate to crit, and your damage from your Exorcism, Holy Shock, Holy Wrath, and Consecration spells gains additional critical strike chance equal to your melee critical strike chance, similar to Sheath of Light where our melee buffs buff our spell buffs now. You can go two-hand tanking or sword and board tanking, and sword and board tanking is a lot more viable now with this rune, Hammer of the Righteous from Wrath of the Lich King. How cool is it that we got this rune? It is super fun and it does some pretty big damn. If you can read the description, it also goes off of weapon DPS and not weapon damage, meaning fast weapons are very viable with this rune. If you're not running the Hammer of the Righteous rune, you can also swap over to Improved Hammer of Wrath, as some fights do last 10% below for a little longer. There are other specs you can run like Wowhead shows with Holy Prot and Deep Prot. However, I just think it's not worth the damage sacrifice. I think Holy Prot is great while you're leveling. If you want to level up and you're doing dungeon spam, go Holy Prot and make sure you have Consecrate, because getting Wrath and getting Hammer of the Righteous do take a while. It's like a higher level to get. You can't really get Hammer of the Righteous until level 40, so you're missing out on like your BIS AoE rune. But if you are solo leveling, I still recommend going Holy Ret, because it's just you're a Retribution Paladin and you just do more damage and things just die faster. Deep Prot, again, on paper looks like a super mitigation-y, tanky spec. It's just, you don't really need that. So you're just sacrificing a lot of damage for this false sense of mitigation that you just don't need. So in regards to rotation, just in case you didn't play in the other phases, our main thing we're doing as Prot Paladins and Red Paladins is fishing for Art of War procs. Art of War is when your critical melee strikes reset the cooldown of your Exorcism. So we run Exorcism on our legs, we run Art of War on our boots, we run Sheath of Light on our waist. All of this just beefs and buffs up our spell and melee attack power. And with the addition of Wrath and Hammer of the Righteous, it only pushes this meta of Art of War Exorcism procs. So always just make sure you are prioing your Exorcism before your Hammer of the Righteous, because you remember your Hammer of the Righteous can proc another Exorcism if it gets a crit, and if you have downtime, then you will pop your Consecration. And if you're two-hand tanking, you'll keep your automatic crowd pummeler, use its 30-second effect, and then swap to its Soul Thrays the Lasher, which we'll go over a little bit on what that is and how to get it. But nothing has changed in regards to two-hand tanking for this phase. So let's talk about BIS weapons. First, let's go with our one-handers. Your overall BIS weapon is going to be on the auction house Flurry Axe. Unfortunately, it's almost 2,300 gold right now. I don't have that money, and I'm not going to farm that money to get this axe, but luckily there are much cheaper options available to us. In fact, they're free options. Inventor's Focal Sword. This drops in Meriden, I don't know how to pronounce it really, even though I've been playing this game for 19 years. And it drops off Tinkerer Gizlot, the little goblin dude. He's on the princess side of the dungeon. So if we're doing wild offering runs or princess runs, he's a small detour out of the way to get this one. The other option is the Eclipse Sanguine Saber. This is our new one-hand weapon from the Stranglethorn Vale event. It costs 25 silver coins. It takes like maybe 2 or 3 events to get this sword. Also very, very good. The only issue with this sword is that also from the STV event, the Libram of Draconic Destruction with 36 attack power when fighting Dragonkin, and we can't put these on together. You have to put on Inventor's Focal Sword to put on this one. For overall DPS throughput, you want to rock Inventor's Focal Sword and Libram of Draconic Destruction. For survivability sakes, you would rock Eclipse Sanguine Saber and the Libram from Nomergon, which I can't find in my bags right now. For two-hand tanking, we have 2 BIS items. One is going to be your automatic crowd pummeler. This is BIS for its on-use effect. Once that 30-second on-use effect is done, you're going to swap over to Soul Thrays the Lasher from Zul'Farrak. You get this from farming the one-handers off the Basilisk boss and the last boss. When both of them drop their swords, you combine them together to get this guy right here. And you want to hook him up with an iron counterweight, because the more hits we get with martyrdom, the more chances we get for Art of War. The more Art of War procs mean more Exorcism. That's our entire playstyle as of now. And in case you don't know, the reason why we want fast weapons is because Seal of Martyrdom is normalized. It's locked at 2 weapon speeds. For one-hander, it's 2.4. For two-hander, it's 3.3. So it doesn't matter if you're running a 3.4 weapon speed or a 2.0 weapon speed two-hander, you're going to get the same damage from Seal of Martyrdom. So we want to just get more swings for more exorcism procs. In terms of your overall BIS for gear, Walter wrote a great article on Wowhead, which I highly encourage you to go upvote if you have a Wowhead account, about multiple options for our BIS. There's a non-PvP BIS, a PvP BIS, survivability BIS, which again, I just don't think you really need, and pre-BIS, no PvP. We're not going to talk about that too much. I grinded out rank 7, and that has a lot of great gear. It has really solid shoulders with crit on them. The 3-piece you'll see in the survivability set gives you 15 stamina. It's just really solid overall DPS and good armor. The helmet though, if you're not blacksmith, the rank 7 helmet has 1% hit, which is really nice to have, along with 1% crit. But for all your BIS options, if you are blacksmithing, you want to run the blacksmithing Nomer helm. It is still going to be really strong, especially with its on-use effect for us getting our Art of War exorcism procs. Speaking of blacksmithing, make sure you level up to 250 and do the new quest chain. You can find a bunch of guys on YouTube. I'm sorry, I don't have one myself. These shoulders have 1% hit, which is really nice because we want to stack at least 5 to 6 on our tanks. For your BIS shields, our two top BIS shields are unfortunately BOE World Drops, the Wall of the Dead, Aegis of Stormwind. The next in line, however, is Defender of the Wilds, which you get from Wild Offerings, which I'll go over in a little bit later in the video. I'm rocking Stone Shell Guard. I was doing BRD for the Hammer of the Righteous rune, and it happened to drop, so I was like, sure, cool. I'm rocking this shield. I'm not looking to farm the others because it's a solid shield. 1903 armor, 6 strength, 9 stamina. And then for trinkets, we'll talk about Wild Offerings in the future, but Breath of the Beast is going to be our BIS one. And I'm currently rocking Mark of the Chosen because it's really easy to get, and it's a really solid trinket because you get hit so much. That 2% chance on hit ability of buffing our stats by 25 for a minute seems to happen pretty often, at least for me. I've heard for others it doesn't really proc at all, but I've always noticed it proc on most of the bosses so far. So I strongly suggest you get this. And this is just from a simple quest by doing Maraudin, which there are a lot of groups out there doing it. There are a lot of groups out there doing quest runs because they want the scepter. So get in on that before everyone's done with it and grab this really, really nice trinket. In this phase, Blizzard also introduced a new rune quest chain called the Wild Offerings rune. Everyone has to do it for a rune, but when you finish it, it unlocks a vendor that takes these Wild Offering tokens for some of our BIS gear, including Breath of the Beast and Band of the Wild, some decent boots, God Slayer's Greaves, 14 strength, 14 agility, really strong. Defender of the Wild, a early strong shield. And then this Shadow Tooth bag, this is how people are getting their Darkwind cards because it contains a random Darkwind card, but it requires 10 Wild Offerings. If you haven't done this rune yet, talk to this person right here in the Emerald Sanctuary, the Shadow Tooth Emissary. They'll tell you to go to Hinterlands and do a quest there, and then go to use that item at the top of RFD to summon Agamon's Spirit or something, and you get this Agamon's Roar item, Agamagon. I'm pronounced this wrong, but you know what I'm talking about, I guess. And you use these on spirits that are located in Zul'Farrak, BRD, or Maraudin, however you say it. And when you kill them, you get 1 token. You need a total of 27 Wild Offerings to get your BIS trinket and your BIS ring. Even though those are both 12, and I know that equals 24, you still need 3 to unlock the vendor from the quest itself. For our BIS consumes, we're going to see Elixir of Mongoose make its return, Elixir of Giants as well. Greater Nature Protection Potions are good for some of the boss fights that do nature damage, like Rot Slime, Dream Scythe and Weaver, and Morphaz and Hazaz. Greater Stone Shield Potions, these are pretty good for Aranicus because his breath is an armor debuff. Tender Wolf Steak or the Squid one for agility. I'm going with this one for stamina just to make sure I'm always alive. Dragon's Breath Chili, and then these guys right here, which you get from the raid, or you can go to the auction house and you can get this awesome DPS flask from Yojamba Island, ZG Island. We can only hold up to 2 the last 2 hours, but they don't persist through death. And lastly, it's just some tips I always do for these videos. One big one related to Sunken Temple: when you're on Aranicus, make sure that your Druid healers are in the melee stack, because for some reason Druid healers pull a lot of heal aggro on the ads that spawn, and when we put them on the melee, it just made life a whole lot easier getting aggro on those ads whenever you weren't tanking the dragon. Like I said in my other videos, make sure you have your bubble cancel bubble macro. I'll put that in the description below. And make sure you have all your start attack macros for all your abilities. But yeah, guys, I think that's it. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, how you feel about pally tanking right now in Season of Discovery. Let me know what you think about paladins overall in general, especially with that huge change that we're getting seal twisting back. Are you a fan? Do you hate it? I'll make a whole new video regarding that. Follow me on twitch.tv/dirtyjd. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for saying hi. And I'll see y'all next time.